Hiya, pal! Yo, what is up there, guys? Of the Wiz, back at it again for another Owl House video right here, right now. So let's get right to it. All right, we got a bunch of good things to talk about. In case you missed it, Dana Terrence did have a charity live stream event last night where she answered a bunch of questions. We got some new behind-the-scene looks at stuff, so let's just dive in. But before we actually get to that, I want to go ahead and mention, because this literally just popped up out of nowhere, the Owl House Season 1 will indeed be coming to Disney Plus on October 30th. Alright, just in time for Halloween, because let me tell you, there's some spooky stuff when it comes to this show, but that is actually really awesome over here. Season 1 ended not too long ago, and you know, if you know somebody that is looking for something to watch that might not have watched the Owl House and they have Disney Plus, this is a perfect opportunity to go ahead and introduce those folks to this show, because the Owl House, let me tell you, oh man, it is wild. It only gets better and better with each episode, and that's absolutely amazing to see. So cool, I get to relive some Owl House on Disney Plus. That is going to be really awesome over here. But continuing on, let's go ahead and talk about some of the big things from this event that we had last night. So number one, I have to talk about this because this one drove me absolutely crazy. You don't understand. I'm still punching the air to this day. So you guys will recall in that episode of the Owl House where we had this like lich-like creature basically sucking the life out of everybody, and the principal specifically said, only 300 more years to retirement. And everyone was like, yo, what? 300 years? Bro, that's some crazy lore. Oh my god, these people can live up that long, bro. I gotta start making all these theories and everything. But guess what? It turns out that was a joke. Yeah, that's right, you heard me. That 300-year saying was just a gag. It was a joke. It has no significant meaning whatsoever. And I'm just like, oh my god, you really did not just do that. You can't play with somebody like me that plays Kingdom Hearts. See, oh my god, I blame Kingdom Hearts for making me overthink everything. But that's two strikes over here. You know, this one and the first one, of course, being the whole creepy loose thing. For those of you that might have already missed out on it, in case you weren't aware, there was an interview where they said that, oh, I got to improvise with Creepy Luce, you'll meet her, and everyone was like coming up with all these crazy theories, me included, saying how like, oh, maybe Luce is being impersonated by an abomination in the camp, and that's why Luce's mom is getting all these letters. Like, yo, people were formulating over here, but it turns out that whole Creepy Luce thing was just a reference to when Luce said, hey, maybe I'll meet a hot older upperclassman, and I'm just like, what? See, oh no, you why 300 years, man? That's what I want to know. That's a very specifically odd number. Like, wow, the principal must be under a lot of stress, or maybe it's that demonic thing that he has on his head is giving him like a major headache, which apparently is gonna have some major lore later down the line. I mean, I don't know, I've had some ideas, like maybe it's low-key his pet, maybe it's like a little trophy thing that he wears, maybe he has a contract with that demonic thing, maybe it helps him see better, or maybe it's just his pal. I have no idea, but now I have trust issues with this show. See, oh my god, I can't take everything so serious, but it's just, that just goes to show you how funny and dedicated people are that will take the littlest bit of information and make it a huge thing. But I really don't blame people for that. I mean, the 300 years thing, especially we're in this crazy world that we are in, that was pretty believable, but I'm so glad that was clarified. I'm just so disappointed that I really got played like that. So that's one of the biggest things that I definitely think was noteworthy to go ahead and mention over here. But continuing on, we have some little light information over here. This girl that belongs to the Oracle track with the croissant looking face, her name is known as Celine, according to Dana in her mind. So I'm not sure if it's official, but in Dana's mind, her name is Celine. That's a nice name. But if we go ahead and continue on to this image over here, we have two girls that we've seen a couple times already, but we don't have their names. This is their unofficial names. I'm not sure what's with all the unofficial stuff. However, the healer girl in blue is known as Kat, and the plant girl in green is known as Amelia. Yo, what's with all these names over here? They sound really good. And speaking of names, this is the big one. We have the official names for Amity's mom and dad. So the dad is known as Alidor, and the mom is known as Odalia. I hope I'm saying that right, but man, why do these characters all have such cool names? Now, alright, that's a nice name and everything, but like the good old Kingdom Hearts fan that I am, there's more than meets the eye, so I had to go ahead and do some research as per usual, only to find out that these names actually do have some significance. For example, Odalia, her name means wealthy, and Alidor's name means diplomacy, correctness, and confidence, which matches pretty well so far from what we've seen with these characters. I mean, have you seen Blight Manor? Yo, their house is huge, but I mean, these guys definitely have standards. Like, for example, you know, Amity still would have been friends with Willow if it wasn't for the Blights being like, yo, this Willow chick, get that peasant out of here. Nah, we can't have you associate with someone like that. You can go ahead and hang out with these girls because their parents, they pinky up, they live that rich life just like us. And oh man, you definitely know Amity's mom is going to be the worst. I did learn from a Q&A that Amity's mom likes to have her children matching, have them color orientated, like, you know, with the hair, so that explains why Amity has green hair instead of brown. Like, oh my god, you really made your daughter do that just because that's how you want your children to be represented? And speaking of representing children, yo, she even uses her kids to basically outshine other people's kids. Like, you see my girl? Yo, she got an A+. Your girl did that? Yo, check out my girl. She got a trophy in the spelling bee and whatnot. So these guys are definitely going to be wild. It's funny how I can hate a character so much, even though I have yet to really see them in their present form. So yeah, I mean, what can I say? These guys are going to be a real treat to go ahead and see. But I'm wondering, you know, when it comes to wealth, have the Blights always been wealthy, or is this just something that they recently acquired? Like, if they just recently got rich and whatnot, then I can be like, okay, I can understand why, you know, you wouldn't want anything to basically screw that up. You made it to this high place, and I would hate to see, like, you know, it come crashing down because of this one thing. But you know, the strict parents over here, we'll just see how it turns out. If anything, I'm personally excited to see them. That way I can print out a picture of their face and, you know, start using it for dart practice or whatnot. But let us go ahead and continue on. This is one of the big things over here. All right, we were introduced to a new character, well, half of a new character, and this is the image right here. So okay, who could this be? You know, at first glance when I saw it, I was like, oh, it must be Mr. Blight, but no, we've got blonde hair, red eyes. I mean, this person does kind of somewhat resemble Mr. Blight, so I'm starting to think that maybe this person could actually be a Blight family member. Maybe it'll actually be Mr. Blight's brothers. But the funny thing about him is that, like, we can see this quote that says, "I'm tired." So I feel like maybe this guy could be that family member that's just like the bum that nobody really likes to acknowledge, because as we already know, when it comes to the Blights, they are very proficient, they are high class status, and they don't want to be associated with somebody like this dude who might just be a bum and isn't all about that high class status. So that is just one theory that I have over here, mainly because the dude looks very similar to Mr. Blight. Or maybe this man is actually a childhood friend of Ida, because he does say, "I am tired," so it makes me think that he has a pretty much laid-back personality, kind of like Ida as well. Or maybe it's possible that this man is actually that new mysterious character with the owl mask that we saw at the final episode. Or maybe, plot twist, it's actually the Emperor himself. I mean, I don't think so. That's a pretty big reveal to just do it at an event like the way they did it, so I don't really think so. But maybe it's a coven leader. Well, he doesn't really seem to match any of the little pictures that we've seen when it comes to the leaders of the coven, so maybe he's going to be a new teacher or something along those lines, or maybe he's just going to be a random marketplace person who might not really have any significance. But the fact that they actually drew this character and represented it during the live stream tells me that he's got to play some part. You know, the fact that he has red eyes makes me think that maybe he's actually the one that works under Bellows, and maybe he ended up making that staff for him, because we do know that Emperor Bellows' staff does glow red. So, you know, that's just me overthinking things right now, just trying to match the red with the red. I mean, technically, we do know that the Bat Queen has red eyes, so maybe there's some connection there. But moving right along, we will actually learn why Amity is named Mittens, or, you know, called Mittens from her brother and sister. What was really funny is that Dana Terrace was like, oh, I finally came up with the answer like last night. I was like, wait, what? You just making this stuff up as you go along? But when it comes to Mittens, the only real big idea that I've ever had is that we know that Amity is pretty much Little Miss Perfect. She wants everything to be, you know, 100% A+ student. So I feel like the Mittens thing is kind of like a somewhat representation, because, you know, you put mittens on for safety. You want, you know, you want to make sure you don't get burned. You want to make sure that you are okay. Or maybe it's going to be something like Amity low-key had like a stuffed animal and it was known as Mittens, and then she got rid of it or got destroyed or something along those lines. But like I was mentioning earlier, Mittens, you use it for protection, you know, just to be 100% safe. So I feel like the mitten things could be somewhat related to just Amity's personality, and where she just wants everything to be, you know, perfect, not take any chances by burning my hands. So that's why she puts on mittens and whatnot. I mean, not to mention she always used to rat out M and Ed. So yeah, your girl is a little bit too yeah, Miss Perfect or whatever. So those are basically my ideas when it comes to that. Now, last but not least was the 2 lies and 1 truth, which were Gus hits a growth spurt, Hootie finally leaves the owl house, and Camilla beats the crap out of someone. So, like I was implied earlier, 2 of these are false and 1 is correct. So at first glance, you know, it seems pretty obvious which is right and which is wrong, but I don't know. Now I'm really starting to think over here. So the first one, Gus hits a growth spurt. I mean, we haven't really been with him for too long, so voice is just going to get a little bit deeper, or he's just suddenly going to get a little bit taller. I mean, growth spurts, you know, that can happen on the fly whenever. So that one seems to be, to me, honestly, the most realistic and simple one. But I don't know, looking at the other ones, I'm starting to think a little bit different over here. Like, for example, Hootie finally leaves the owl house. Well, technically, he is pretty much a part of the house, so I don't know how that's possible, unless it's going to be one of those things where he can just stretch for an infinite length. I mean, because technically, we have no idea. There's no bounds when it comes to Hootie, so maybe he's just in town and he's still technically attached to the house. He can just stretch that far out. I mean, you know, Hootie does deal with a lot of people's crap. Well, not really so much crap, but like, nobody really takes him serious. So I can see there being an episode where he's like, you know what, I'm sick and tired of this. I'm so underappreciated and whatnot. So, boom, I'm gonna just be chilling the streets and whatnot. Unless, you know, maybe Hootie finds like a spell within the house that he's able to separate himself, then maybe that's an option. But I'm wondering if he's able to separate himself, is he gonna get like his own like actual owl looking body, or is he just gonna be like a snake slithering around? I will say Hootie leaving the owl house is definitely a lot more interesting than Gus getting some random growth spurt. But watch, it's gonna be something so like funny, like Hootie's gonna end up leaving because he's chasing after a squirrel or something along those lines. I mean, your man is pretty free-spirited, if you will. Honestly, I mean, him leaving because of an argument of something does make a little bit of sense, but at the same time, Hootie does deal with a lot of things. Like, Amity beat the snot out of him and he was still chilling, so your man is still pretty loyal. It has to be something pretty big for him to want to, like, you know, leave the owl house. But that is definitely something interesting and something I would actually like to see. And last but not least, of course, is Camilla. Will she actually beat the snot out of someone? To me, I feel like maybe it's gonna be one of those flashback things where maybe somebody was picking on Luce and, you know, Camilla stepped in and gave that person the chancla. I don't know, maybe like a teacher was, you know, kind of disrespecting, insulting Luce, because yeah, Luce is a wild card, and you know, she brought in like a bag of snakes and spiders to the school, so I could see it being something like that. Unless, I don't know, maybe someone's actually gonna go ahead and try to kidnap Camilla, then maybe that's a possibility. She's gonna go ahead and defend herself. Watch, your girl low-key is a Zora. You didn't hear that from me over here, but there is the potential that maybe somehow, some way, Camilla will actually find a way to get to the Boiling Isles, and if that's the case, I'm sure she's gonna run into a lot of ruffians and thugs, so yeah, she might end up beating the snot out of somebody. But I don't know, I mean, it is a possibility. That also would be definitely interesting compared to, again, Gus getting some random growth spurt. Now, one other last little bit of information that I almost forgot over here that was pretty important is that it turns out that Lilith was originally supposed to be the principal of the school. But what was really interesting about that during the live stream is that one of the co-workers on the show said, hey, wasn't Lilith supposed to turn into a crow? And then, you know, Dana has quickly stopped him like, shh, don't spoil anything. So it sounds like Lilith's talisman might actually be a crow and not a raven like a lot of people were thinking. Well, seeing as how Lilith cursed Ida, yeah, she definitely falls underneath a crow than a beautiful raven, if you know what I'm talking about over here. But that's interesting. So it sounds like maybe Lilith might actually turn into like a crow beast mode, kind of like Ida, because technically she does have part of the curse. So that's going to be interesting to see her lose control. Well, we have seen the temper get the best of her, but last but not least, I just want to go ahead and check out some funny things that we did see during their little live stream. Number one is this image that was unfortunately not able to make it to the final episode of Crom, where you see your girl Luz with the otter outfit, and oh my god, you got Amity creeping in the background. Yo, your girl, give her some space. Oh, I can't believe this. But interestingly enough, it turns out that Luz was kicked out of Grom because she ended up wearing that outfit. I mean, dang, alright, so much for expressing yourself, but Luz with this whole otter thing, I don't know. I'm starting to think that her talisman might just end up being an otter of some sorts, but this picture is absolutely adorable. Such a shame that I wasn't able to make it into the final episode. But moving right along, here we have some early concept designs. You've got Ida, like, oh my gosh, she got a tail, she's got a cape, and she's got like this little eyepiece accessory. That's funny. Then of course you've got Amity over here. All right, kind of a similar design, but notice how you don't see the ears at all. Okay, wow. Well, they do emphasize ears a lot with this, like, you know, Luz has round ears because she's human, so it makes sense that they went ahead and showed off the ears. Pretty nice little drawing over here. Another drawing of Ida, just showing how much of a wild card she is. She even has this like winged backpack, which Dana said that might actually make an appearance. She's still deciding about that, but if we go ahead and move on, we have another image of Amity. Yo, hold on, this looks like a whole other personality. This looks like a Basha status, and man, the hair, yo, she's wild. I like it. She got the fireball and everything. Your girl is looking clean. So this is definitely an interesting early concept design for Amity. And the most interesting one above all of them else, I thought that was really funny, was this one with, of course, you can see Ida, a very early concept of Luz and King, and apparently there was going to be like some weird gag where Ida is like always trying to eat King. I'm just like, what? If I was King, yeah, I would have dipped for a long time. Like, what? I don't know if it's gonna be like a Tom and Jerry type of situation, but that's interesting. Ida wanting to eat King? Why would your man stick around? You know, maybe she wants to eat him because he low-key has the power. Well, I mean, we all know King's a Titan. No, I mean, I'm just kidding about that part, but I mean, I don't know. We did see the Emperor eat talismans to, like, you know, sustain himself, so maybe there's something there that could actually lead into season 2. You know, maybe there is more to King. There probably is. I'm just waiting for that big reveal. Maybe he's actually the descendant of a Titan. Maybe he is a Titan. We'll just have to wait and find out. But I'm kind of glad they got rid of that, because that would have been really weird. Like, I would have been concerned for King, like, every time I saw him and Ida on screen. Like, yo, watch out for Ida. And last but not least, here we just have a couple of images that Dana actually drew on the spot. Here we have a collaboration with Luz and Gravity Falls. Oh my god, the King Bill Cypher thing is flipping hilarious. You've got Ida as Stan, and of course you've got Luz as Dipper. Moving right along, this one I think is highly appropriate. We have Luz in your boy's clothes, that of course being Edward Elric, because I've always making that joke that, you know, Luz is making those transmutation circles to go ahead and make the spell. So that is probably the most fitting one. I just love it. I like how Luz is looking at, like, wow, yo, this thing is awesome, the power. And last but not least, I think this is probably the most funniest one out of all of them. Here we have Ida Sephiroth. Yo, all these Final Fantasy references. Can I get a Kingdom Hearts reference, please? Oh, but wow, this is exactly what we need to defeat the Emperor. Just give your girl Ida that long sword, and yo, this fits so well. So guys, that is basically it for this video. What I want to know in the comments section below, of course, is A, what did you think of all the new informations? Your predictions, please. And what I want to know, of course, is that new character. Who do you think it is actually going to be? Is it going to be related to somebody? Is it going to be just a completely new character? Is it going to have any major significance? And of course, like, you know, Amity's parents, their names, what do you think of them? And last but not least, of course, the million-dollar question is, which one is the truth? Is it that Gus will have a growth spurt? Is it that Hootie will leave the Owl House? Or is it that Camilla will actually end up beating the crap out of somebody? Yeah, you got a 1 in 3 chance over here. So, you know, guys, leave all your comments in the comment section below. If you like the video, make sure to give it a big, massive thumbs up, as that helps me and the channel out quite immensely. If you aren't already, you can follow me on my Twitter. Same thing as my YouTube channel, which is Ed the Wiz. I'm also on Instagram, which is madswag12345, where I go ahead and post all that good stuff. So until next time, my dudes, I'm going to go ahead and say, bye, pal. We'll see you soon.